average are banning around 2 top laners in their pick ban draft. So they're trying to get revenge at something comfortable, even though they're blue side, so there's a high chance that TSM can counterpick. Let's see what EG decides to prioritize. Again, on patch 13.13, I have been liking the Kaisa. It's been popping up more and more. Yeah. And if you have the fingers, if you have the ability to pull this off, you can do some crazy things on this champ.
Absolutely. I mean, Kaisa, Rel, those two have been ridiculously popular on this patch. Rakan really jumping up in priority, it feels like, as well. Xayah has already been banned out on red side, though, so they're not going to be going that direction. It has been getting a lot of attention. Sejuani feels like it has been the go-to on red side as the answer to that Kaisa or Rel on 1-2, so that is going to be locked in here. And now this is where we get to start to see where things can diversify a little bit. He's almost always wearing them.
I know he wasn't allowed for a while.
Well, I don't know. Was that even true, or was that like
I think that was just international. I think that was just
okay.
Worlds,
Yeah, Worlds. LCS is a Crocs. Crocs are welcome.
I wasn't told that.
Crocs are welcome here next time you come.
All right.
Yeah.
I don't know if they
don't actually own Crocs
shoes. Same, actually. But now that I know I can, I kind of want to.
Yeah. All right. Well, we have Tristana and Ivern coming in here, so a pretty different look at that we're gonna have for Sheiden. I have mentioned a few times, there is some Ivern support in solo queue, but I'm not really expecting it. It is going to be double marksman either way, but I really do love Kaisa.
Happy birthday.
Oh, happy birthday. Hope you have a great day. Tristana pairs really well with the Kaisa because you have AP from the Kaisa. You know, with that build, you have the AD from the Tristana. So, you know, in the past when you did these double marksman builds, a lot of the weaknesses was people would just fully stack armor.
Yeah.
That's not really the case here. You can't look towards that. And Ivern can go towards Ardent Sensor and a lot of these support items that are so powerful for these comps.
And with the double AD carry, the double marksman, we've seen this in Challenger for a while. Hello, Ireland. Oh, wow. Wow, we got some international love right now. Shout out to IMT. I think that's the only Irish representation we got in LCS.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna.
All right, yeah.
Not gonna speculate.
I'm not gonna quiz you.
Going down.
All right. I'm a quarter, so it counts. Either way, let's catch up here because Insanity has locked in the Jayce. Now, could still be flexed. I know Insanity does like this pick though. Where do we think this is gonna go?
It's almost been mid exclusively this split, so that is kind of where I'm expecting it to go. Hauntzer has not played a single game of it. There is the one game for Insanity on it mid, and Insanity has really been favoring these marksmen mid. I think that's part of the reason that Trist was so high prio for EG as well, because it's also a denial from TSM. And Jojo wants to play high lane prio, stuff that he can push. This is really where he excels. I do think one of the adjustments that EG has made this week to try to bounce back from their loss streak was to play around Jojo more heavily, because every other team had started spam banning Jojo. They're sending their support, they're sending their jungle non-stop to chase after Jojo.
Yep.
We've even seen some games where like 4 people are going for him over and over and over. So you have got to defend your mid laner. This is the MVP candidate for this team, and you need to see Sheiden defending him. You need to see Eyla defending him if they're going to put all that pressure on him, because I think he has done such a good job of creating advantages for his team and often bailing his teammates out of bad situations. You know, if his team gets behind in bot lane, he's really someone who's willing to drop waves and get down there to try to fix that. So
he's been everywhere.
He has been everywhere, and the team needs to kind of like pay that back to him.
Yeah.
But we have Zeri on the other side for WildTurtle, which has not been a prominent pick at all this split. We've seen it come out maybe a couple times. So this is going to be an interesting look.
Received some nerfs earlier, but now on this patch, maybe it's going to creep back in, or it's just something that WildTurtle fancies into this matchup. Either way, I want to go back to that protect the Jojo style. We do see the Ksante locked in. We already have the Ivern, so they're building something to allow these 2 carries to play with.
Support.
And Amumu on top of it. That does provide a lot of space.
Yeah, it's a lot of lockdown. So there is actually the small chance that is going to get swapped around. Like, as I did mention, Ivern support does see some play. I don't think we're going to get it. I do think it's going to be Amumu support and Ivern jungle. That's what I am expecting. But this is basically 2 frontliners, some good engage, and the Ivern is your enchanter to buff up this double marksman, right? So it's a very strong 5v5 composition. Tristana also plays through side lanes fairly well because you have a lot of self-peel, you have the rocket jump, you have the buster shot. On the other side, it's a lot of engage here. It's a lot about that hard engage, trying to find that initial flank, you know, with the Rakan, having the Kennen come in, and we'll see if they're going to be able to find it.
All right, LCS en Espanol. Viva la LCS! Is the official Spanish language streaming of the LCS. This new viewing experience is live on LLA's Twitch and YouTube channels right now. Scan the QR code or go to lolesports.com to learn more. Shout out to that stream. And also shout out to TSM for locking in Kennen for Hauntzer here. I like it in a vacuum, but I do think it could be hard for the Kennen to navigate here because you're having to get through a lot of tools that can kind of push you back, stop you from getting those big engages.
I mean, one of the biggest things that Kennen is going to...
But as we're loaded onto the Rift, TSM versus Evil Geniuses. I'm hearing some JoJo chants already.
Yeah, we were having some fun chants this week. A lot of JoJo fans.
Yeah, a lot of JoJo fans out there. Yeah, love it. Love to hear it.
Yesterday we saw like a 5-piece poster thing for JoJo. It was like everyone had
I missed that one.
Yeah, it was cool.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
All right. Well, where's Insanity's poster? Come on, everybody.
They're upping their poster game.
No, the TSM fans. I've heard scant a TSM chant this summer. I'm wondering if they're out there right now. Are we going to get a TSM chant today? I'm not seeing any nods. Wow, I guess we're not. All right. Usually that's a
yeah, I thought you're going for the freebie, you know?
Yeah, I laid it up for
not
him.
anymore.
No spike. Well, let's see if the players can spike it down here, as it is up to them. They can still play a bit of an upset here. EG are higher in the standings, but TSM are reminded that a win would get them into that top 6. That's what they're rooting for.
Yeah, we're going to send it over to Gabby with TSM's coach Revan for a quick interview.
Thank you, Azael. I know that you've been doing a lot of interviews lately. In fact, I just watched one you had with Digon Esports. You talked about a lot of things, but when it came to previewing this matchup, you seem fairly confident. Now, post-draft, are you still feeling that way, and why?
Yeah, I think even though yesterday's result was way more catastrophic compared to before the game, I think our team vibes and how we see the game are much more aligned, even though the result itself didn't seem that way. Even though we haven't won a game post-interview, I think everyone on the team feels much more better about how to move forward compared to before.
Speaking of how to move forward and kind of being aligned, that's another topic that you talked about, bringing your 4+ years of experience to bring everyone on the same page. With playoffs on the horizon, what specifically are you doing to approach that concept?
I think we've had multiple roster decisions, draft philosophies, and how to play the game, whether individually as a team. I think now that we've explored a lot of the options going into playoffs, we should all aim to have good form and have an aligned style as to how we want to approach the playoffs, which is the only thing that matters.
So keeping our eyes on form and style when it comes to TSM's gameplay. Thank you for joining me for this interview. Back to the game.
And we're seeing a lot of aggression down this bottom side. They're going to force the cleanse out. And you have to remember, one of the things that makes Amumu uniquely good against the Zeri is actually we may have a gankier mid. Looks like that will fade off.
That was a mid-air thumbs up from Jojo.
Oh, Jojo got way too aggressive there.
Yeah, he gets punished for it a little bit, as Insanity and him had been trading very early. It was bot and mid that were trading aggressively during that interview.
I feel like Insanity actually kind of messed that up, because it was one more hit for the passive to be able to actually be activated there from Sejuani. So if he didn't actually knock him away, I know he didn't want to actually take that full explosive shot. But if he actually allowed that to be stunned up, they could have potentially gotten something more. And Jojo,
I think he's got it. Flashes in. Response from Insanity, but Jojo's feeling himself. He wanted that 1v1 as Eyla and Unforgiven are just diving between turrets, pushing Chime and WildTurtle away from their defense. Ayla's walking forward. Chime's in trouble, though. They just focus on the support, get the flash out. Teleport coming in here. Channeled by Insanity,
Bugi
so mid laner from TSM is helping out Bugi. They're trying to trap EG in their jungle, but they don't quite have the pincer maneuver. EG, get out.
Yeah, that is really big for EG. But they've just been putting on so much pressure, utilizing this Amumu, because with the Tantrum, you have that passive that is flat damage reduction per hit, and that works on the individual Zeri bullets. So that's one of the things that people actually talk about with the Zeri Q, is that it can be a really good matchup specifically into that. You can go really aggressively in, and you take a lot less damage. So that's something that I have heard people talking about as one of those matchups that you can bring it out kind of specifically for. Amumu support used to be popular a while ago. I think it was in spring, if not maybe last year.
Yeah, I even remember at Worlds we were seeing some of it played in the bot lane. So.
And people were talking about it even then, kind of as this more niche thing against Zeri, but it wasn't played too much. So it's cool to actually see them bring it out, and we can see how aggressive they are being.
Jojo doesn't have flash. Insanity playing around with the idea of an all-in right now. Doesn't quite follow up on Chime's engage, though, so Jojo gets out while Sheiden and Bugi just kind of waved at each other in the jungle.
And this is where he needs some protection, in the mid lane, because we have seen, already the earlier gank came through from Bugi. Now Chime goes mid, Bugi comes mid again. Sheiden is there behind him and does drop that brush for him, but you need to make sure that you're protecting Jojo because Jojo's in a great spot. He almost solo killed off Insanity. He's up farm. You need to make sure that he's not having to take poor bases, that he's not getting put in this compromising position because he is down a flash and he's going to be vulnerable for a few minutes as a result.
And we're seeing that Sheiden's pathing on the Ivern. He's now twice pathed through mid-wave, just dropped a brush down, helps out with the trading pattern of Jojo, who's been trying to get a health bar lead over Insanity. Does take a little bit of a rough trade there, but still, anytime he drops that bomb down, Insanity's got to walk back.
You have to remember as well, Ivern, since some of the changes a while ago, it's like the brush can also buff your allies when you are nearby to Ivern when he drops that down, so you do get a little bit of bonus on hit damage there. So another reason that it can be actually really good with these double marksman comps. If in team fights and stuff, you can be dropping the brush for your allies as well. So there's some cool little optimizations that you can have there. But Jojo does take another quick base here, got the wave pushed out, just going to refill his health, run straight back out towards mid. Looks like it is going to be a Shiv rush for him, so probably going to be double Shiv for the EG marksman, and then expecting obviously in towards AD for Jojo and AP for Unforgiven. But it will give Jojo even more prio through mid, and really Tristana just wants to push. Like, you just want to have it constantly shoved in your opponent's face, be threatening those tower plates, and be putting them in a position where you can jump in on them with the explosive shot, get that bonus damage out on them, and if they want to return trades, they're having to do it into a stacked minion wave. So that's really how you want to play, and that's why this pick requires protection from your team, because you are constantly exposing yourself to ganks.
And it plays into Jojo's playstyle that you were highlighting earlier, getting onto the map, helping out elsewhere on the map, and not just having to be, okay, Jojo's stuck mid-wave in the 1v1. He can sometimes excel in those situations, but he can also get around as TSM are actually focusing
again.
Chime and Bugi are both hanging around. Jojo's posturing on the correct side, though. He's got that control ward, so he knows there's no threat up here.
Yeah.
There's really no reason for him to walk onto that side of the
Well,
lane.
they're hoping that he's going to jump in, right? They're hoping that he's going to rocket jump in on Insanity. So I think Insanity's trying to play like, oh, I'm looking a little bit juicy here, right? He's trying to step forward just enough that Jojo might be baited in, but not so much that it make it obvious. When you are playing in these situations, you have to look a little bit dumb, but not too dumb, because if you look too dumb,
strategically
then they're like, okay, come on, you're not going to play like that. Someone's behind you. So either way, though, I think Jojo really has improved with how he's played around enemy team pressure. When you think back to Spring, he was just getting picked off left and right, and now that Eyla shows mid, he jumps in, but ouch, that trade was rough.
Yeah. Insanity was ready for it, immediately punishes Jojo for going in at that attempt. And EG are posturing around the dragon with this health bar trade onto Jojo. Maybe TSM feel like they can go for something here.
Yeah, they may possibly go for it, and Jojo is going to go back to base. I think Sheiden, Eyla just moving through that river, trying to control vision, making sure that Jojo has that safety to play how he needs to play, right? They put a pink ward and pixel brush, they take the scuttle, they're going to start up the dragon here with Daisy. And Unforgiven and Eyla have shoved through bot. So Insanity going back to base, has no TPs. This is going to be EG's Dragon, and it's going to be a continuation of their pressure on the map. Yeah,
despite Jojo having to back reset, Insanity didn't have control of wave. Bot lane being shoved in means that Unforgiven and Eyla actually buy a lot of space for EG to get this first dragon.
It's also worth noting that Hauntzer is going the Kennen Shiv build. I'm kind of a hater of this build, to be honest. I've been a bit of a hater of Kennen on-hit builds forever, just because I feel like it is hard to create enough of an advantage in the 1v1 to justify this over just playing full AP.
Yeah.
Because it is rare in pro that I've been able to see someone with these on-hit builds actually create a monumental lead and just push the game to victory. They always just have to group for 5v5, and then you're playing a build that just is so much weaker than if you just had a proto belt and full AP. So we'll see if Hauntzer can create that really big advantage that I think he's going to need in that side lane to make this build worthwhile.
He's not up in CS as of right now. It's dead even in that top lane, so we'll keep our eyes poised on that if Hauntzer can get any plates for himself or any CS lead. I will say with that phase rush, it will be hard to run away from a Kennen who's trying to chase you down, so maybe that's part of the thought process. We have the Herald started up here. TSM are grouping for it as, flash from Sheiden to avoid the engagement. Insanity wants to commit onto this, and Sheiden has no backup, so first blood to Insanity.
Nicely done. TSM punishing Sheiden there. Really had no business being over there by himself, walks up, does flash away, avoiding that lockdown from the Sejuani, but Insanity is there. No one is behind him. EG now moves over. Jojo is here. Unforgiven is down bot with Turtle, but Unforgiven is moving up through that river now, and Sheiden's coming back from base.
Jojo's getting a lot of damage onto Chime, who is just undecisive if he wanted to go in or not. Revenge knows he wants to go in, jumps onto Insanity, but was that wise? Hauntzer's here as backup, and TSM get the first kill. Revenge is out of there, and EG just don't quite have another play. Jojo's fearless, though.
Yeah,
just walking up 1v4.
I mean, they have to get something now because Unforgiven walked all the way up. So now they have to start it because Turtle is going to farm plates for free on bot side. So they already are making a sacrifice. One plate goes that way. They drop a full wave. So Jojo goes back towards mid. He's going to farm a plate of his own and deny a few minions there while Unforgiven helps Sheiden take that Herald. So I think at the end of the day, it's honestly pretty darn good for EG.
Insanity teleports back into lane and can catch this wave, but EG pick up the Rift Herald. As you see the gold breakdown right now, there's a small lead for TSM, most of that in the mid lane here. Insanity does have that 2-kill lead as he's been the recipient of both of the kills that TSM have received. There's Buster shot. Oh, Chime jumps in and is buffered. The rocket jump to safety, smooth from Jojo.
That whole sequence was basically perfect there from Jojo. Yeah. He Buster shots Insanity out of his hammer form Q before the damage connects there, so he interrupts that. Then, waits on the W just long enough so he's not interrupted. If you jump too early, you can be knocked out of your rocket jump.
Yep.
If you do it just right like that, you get knocked up and you just bounce right out of it. So well played there by Jojo, absorbing the pressure as he really has had to do. He has been the focus of so much, for his team and for the enemy teams. There was so much talk about Jojo and about how well he's playing, especially in that first round robin. EG was dominating. And you talk to a lot of other pros and they say, well, it's just Jojo, and then you can't keep it up. There's no way. People are going to start to really put the needles to him. People are going to start to put the pressure on him. But it started to feel like, hey, maybe they were right because EG went on this 4-game slide, but now they have swapped in Sheiden, and they feel like they are really starting to find some answers. They're playing better around Jojo, and I think he has adapted to the situation. I'm sure it is frustrating for him because he's one of those guys that wants to play hyper-aggressive, wants to take every fight, wants to take every trade, but the reality is, most of the time, there's someone in the brush behind his opponent, so you can't do it.
Hey, that's learning though, right? You can't assume that you will always be able to win your lane. If you do get focused down, it is still good improvement for the player.
Totally, and you have to have faith in your opponents, as we're going to see.
Yeah, the engage comes through here. TSM yet again jumping in onto EG. It's Eyla this time who's locked down, and TSM get their 3rd kill. Jojo once more though, and Unforgiven actually is the one to pick up that one. 1-for-1 trade, mid laner for support.
Yeah, nicely done. Jojo TP's in. Cavalry arrives, they take it down, that 1 kill. Maybe gonna be able to farm up this plate as well. That one's getting pretty low, but Jojo can head back out towards bot. But yeah, I mean, for Jojo, you also have to have faith that your teammates are going to get something done with the pressure that's being brought to you, right? If there's 3 people mid, guess what? They're not somewhere else. So your teammates need to be making good on that, and that's where they need to step up and make sure that they are punishing their opponents for that focus on Jojo. We can watch this one more time.
Speaking of focus on
a little bit of a face check, as a lot of people were here around mid. TSM, get that engage on Eyla. He throws down the ulti very quickly, but it is Insanity going hammer for him. He goes in, and Eyla goes down in a hurry, but it's the TP from Jojo here that makes the difference as he arrives. That passive auto comes out there from Unforgiven, procs the passive, able to get that kill back, and Jojo nearly takes down that bot lane tower.
Let's see what the explosion does. Not quite enough. But EG still focused on some of these objectives. This is what the Tristana wants to do, get around the map and make that happen. We talked a lot about Jojo, and I want to take some time to also, as TSM,
there are 4 shifts in this game.
Off. There's 4 shifts in this game. That is another talking point.
Looking like ARAM.
I want to also mention Insanity and his journey so far this split. Subbing in into a relatively rough position, and then subbing in again, the 2-time sub for TSM, and he's been having a lot of nods thrown his way as well. Is ahead, arguably, right now. I mean, he's down a little bit of CS, but he does still have a lot of the gold for TSM. Let's see if he's able to make it happen as TSM pick up a dragon for themselves.
Yeah, I think Insanity has had a great split. He has very much so deserved his spot, has brought a lot of proactivity to the team. But I think someone that people haven't talked about as much is Bugi. I think Bugi has also been really good for the team. I think Turtle has really stepped up as a reliable carry, and it's cool to see that this guy, so late in his career, he is now the all-time leader for most games played in the LCS, right? And he is still finding that improvement and finding these ways to win games and make a big difference on the LCS stage.
And everybody at home, everybody here in the audience, you be keeping track with us, because if WildTurtle picks up 2 more kills, he will break the all-time kill record.
That's actually pretty likely.
That's insane.
On Zeri, I mean, by accident, you'll probably get 2 kills.
Yeah, you have static shiv. That's just going to pick up a proc here or there, right?
Press alt, you bounce the shiv around. Boom, pentakill.
So keep your eyes on WildTurtle. Can he get at least 2 this time around? So far, TSM are in a pretty comfortable position. Dead even in gold, but now EG, though, they do crack that first turret. Jojo cashing in.
Yeah, Jojo and Unforgiven now, the 2 gold leaders in the game here. You can see Hauntzer has opened up a bit of a gold lead over Revenge, so has his shiv complete, trying to create an edge in that side lane. Hasn't been a massive one. Looks like he is going to go likely into just kind of AP after this. He has sword boots, so probably is just the shiv more for the lane, and then we'll see what he can get done in that 5v5 with the subsequent items. But that is going to be kind of my big concern is, how will this Shiv Kennen perform versus had you gone towards Proto Belt, right? Because you have no AP on this item, right? Like your ult does so little damage compared to when you do have that first item as a mythic Proto Belt. So,
and it even got nerfed too. Like it's 0 ratio against the minions, and they even nerfed the damage against the champions as well. So it's not like you're poking heavily here with this. It's not that same oppressive, oh, one auto and just, that's half my health bar. But he is getting these waves in. Revenge is catching them so far, and Hauntzer has gotten a little bit of a CS lead for himself, along with about half of that turret's health. We'll see if the team plays through him, as Jojo just jumps in onto Insanity, gets the reset. Rocket jumps in again. Insanity has to flash. Jojo flashes forward. He will continue the chase. Not quite enough range, though.
Yeah.
Cannot close it out.
A little bit over-aggressive there. I don't think Jojo should have followed with the flash. He doesn't have tier 2 boots, and there's tabbies on the other side. You also get move speed every time you actually change from hammer form to the gun form, whatever you want to call it, but back and forth, as they're going to look for Hauntzer potentially here on this top side.
Musket form.
Yeah, musket form,
I think
whatever.
musket. That's probably the closest it is.
Okay. But it was well played there by Jojo, and when he gets that rocket jump reset with that final auto on the explosive charge, he obviously got a little bit hyphy, but should have just taken the flash and been happy with it.
All right, let's take a look at the setup right now, because EG, we're trying to get some vision down in the river, and Eyla punished for it. TSM get another pick for themselves. 4 kills to 1 and control around the Herald.
Gonna be able to grab that one very easily. Ayla goes down again. Has not had too much involvement really outside of the laning phase. Hasn't been able to get involved in a lot. Did get caught in the side brush that one time. Was able to get his 1 assist there. Now dies here over by Herald as he was trying to get on that warding mission. Unfortunately for him, ends up being a bit of a freebie given over, and TSM will grab the Herald. There are some damaged towers on the map, but it's likely going to be heading towards mid. I would expect around this next dragon, they'll probably just drop Herald mid, look to draw that pressure from EG towards that, and try to utilize that to take that dragon.
Ayla's right back on the Rift, and they are setting this up. Linking up with
Jojo.
Sheiden. Unforgiven's even here. Everybody from EG looking to see if anyone from TSM falls for the trap. Chime just drops a little ward down, and now they're focusing on Insanity. They have more than enough to take that kill. Chime even has to flash to safety. EG, they get their pick.
Yeah, that was really nicely done. They know that Insanity had no flash. They also know Jojo has no flash, so he's going to draw attention by pushing up towards that tier 2 and bot. So they play behind him. Insanity shows up. The rest of his team does not, so they get a freebie, even though Insanity had that nice sidestep on the bandage toss. He's still going to get ulted up by the Amumu and knocked down. Bugi trying to threaten on the side, but it's all in.
Oh! 1v1 under turret. That was not advised, Hauntzer. Revenge gifted a kill.
Yeah, Revenge gonna be able to take one in that top lane, gets a solo kill. I don't even have to see the replay to know how that one happened, because we've watched that exact solo kill about 500 times this split, I feel like. Ksante flips you into the tower, knocks you back with the W, all out under the turret. All of a sudden, how did that get here?
Yeah, and that's a lot of distance in the direction you don't want to go as a top laner. And of course, we highlighted this is not the AP build, so you're not really having a chance to trade back in those instances. So Revenge keeping himself relevant in this 1v1 in the lane.
I mean, more than relevant now, right? Like, he's ahead at that point, and
that's heartbreaking.
That sucks.
Yeah. I mean, well done by Chime, though. Let's look at it from the flip side. He's going great.
Dude, that's great.
Yeah.
Take it back.
That's a very efficient supporting right there. That's what we call that one.
Anytime you can steal a jungle camp or anything like that with one hit, it's just like, oh man, that guy's tilted.
Especially like this late game, because early game you do a little bit more damage proportionally, but right now it's like no, that was just timing right there. Jojo though does not know that he's in danger. Control ward in the tri-brush, and Chime getting the kill.
Nicely done. Chime as well as Bugi combining to burst down Jojo there. Insanity was splitting on that top side again. TSM heading over towards where Jojo will be on the map, trying to put that pressure. EG had the support for Jojo last time. This time, it's Insanity who has that support, and now Ayla caught out again, but I don't think there's enough damage here for it to really matter.
He doesn't have anywhere to retreat to. Gets a shield. WildTurtle can't quite take him down. Sheiden keeping him alive, and now Shaiden's pulled in. Daisy is taken down. Revenge looking to posture forward. Buy some space. Maybe look for another engage as Ayla bandage tosses in. Unforgiven has joined up. Now EG have the damage that they need if they can get the Kaisa into that backline. No one's going to set it up, though. TSM escape.
Yeah, and the Herald won't quite finish off the turret, unfortunately. Enough damage was done to it. But in that bottom lane, Hauntzer pushing up here, able to knock down the tier 1, so getting some more gold for TSM. They open up a very slight gold lead here. It is 2 dragons to 0 for EG, but it has not been a fast dragon stacking game, so Sol is still quite some time away. And this one is for sure just going to come down to the 5v5s.
But hey, I mean, Hauntzer is kind of making the build work. We were questioning how much, you know, value would we get out of this on-hit. Kennen has taken down 2 turrets for himself on both sides of the rift. Now it's like, well, now it's a long lane, so it's a little more dangerous to go up and hit that next turret. So how confident is Hauntzer going to be, and how much vision will TSM invest to get him into a good spot in the side lanes?
Yeah, we'll see. And he does have the proto belt now complete, so they didn't have to have any major 5v5s when he had no AP completed. So he has kind of, you know, circumvented that dip in power for the 5v5s a little bit. Of course, it's not going to be as strong if you're full AP, but still, there is a trade-off there. And as you said, it was able to use that to push up. Obviously, Insanity took the top lane tier 1, but he did get that one down through bot. Despite giving up the solo kill to Revenge, I would say it's kind of like mixed results a little bit, because he's pretty much even in gold with Revenge, so I don't think that's really where you want to be, but nice buffer.
Jojo. Again, the buffer on the rocket jump. TSM have not been able to latch onto Jojo in these efforts. These engages, Jojo is able to get away time after time, but they don't get the turret. So EG have not cracked that mid yet. Both of these turrets surviving with a sliver of a health bar.
Yeah, it is incredibly close.
All right, place your bets.
On this wave.
Who's going to get it for? Yeah, it's EG.
It's EG. Yeah, no one's there.
I was trying to build it up to be a cool thing, and TSM just ran away. You know, they gave up.
They were in on the bet.
Stacking the deck.
It was an inside
Stacking
job.
the odds. Yeah, well, hey, you know, props to them. They didn't A-ram.
True.
That's the alternative.
There you go.
Yeah.
Now they've been playing out through the sides pretty heavily. Obviously, they have Jayce. They have this kind of on-hit Kennen style. Well, I mean, it's not full on hit, but you know what I mean. So they're going to be playing through sides a little bit again. You know, I think Revenge can look to push out waves. Jojo can play through sides pretty effectively as long as he has that coverage. He's likely just going to have to back off as soon as he pushes out this wave, because it does get a little bit dicey. They have some eyes, though, on some people from TSM on the top side, and Revenge is going to get aggressive.
Insanity's just taking massive damage from a Ksante solo. Jojo teleports in and seals the deal. Chime now trying to escape with the quickness underneath the turret, but Jojo jumps in for a little more and does not find it. Chime barely living there, as EG have not claimed 2, but they will get Insanity yet again.
Very close to actually knocking him down, but Jojo can't do it. But now the pressure is on here because EG are going to look towards the Baron.
Yeah.
Hauntzer TPs. He does have ult, so there's an angle here for Hauntzer to really punish him if he can find his way in, but it can be tough.
No all out from Ksante, but they do have the Amumu ultimate. Ayla can do a lot of work here, and they're just going to catch WildTurtle, the AD carry from TSM, out of position. EG pounce, and they will claim the damage dealer for TSM. That is their Red Bull Baron.
That is brutal for TSM. Turtle trying to group up there, trying to move through that banana brush over towards where Hauntzer was so they could actually approach from the same way.
Yep.
But it is very dangerous to go alone as an AD carry. They had the ward over the wall. He had to know that that was a possibility, and he gets punished so heavily. And now EG massively ahead as Hauntzer's going in, but
okay, Slicey Maelstrom. He has Chime and Insanity here as well. Ooh, Revenge walks back in to the knockup. Jojo has joined, though. Back up here for Revenge. Jojo just shredding through the TSM members. You lose your top laner, but I think the mid laner's more than enough to answer. That's one down with the rocket jump reset. Give him the double kill to Jojo. Answering the play on Revenge.
Nicely done by Jojo, punishing TSM there. They do get the kill onto Revenge, but they lose 2 in the process, nearly lose 3, as they did decide to make the full commitment to this. I was kind of wary about this even working at all, because it's not really that much damage in onto Revenge, but with Chime coming in behind, with Insanity arriving, they are able to make it happen. But these Hex Gates get you out on the map so quickly. You know, Jojo comes out, Sheiden arrives a lot faster than they otherwise would. Jojo going in for that reset. There was a knockup from Chime, but we're back to live, and we're back to Ayla getting caught.
Ayla's catching. Who's catching who, actually? EG have more members around the area, and Unforgiven jumps right on in there on the Bugi. Will take down the enemy jungler. Does he want more, though? Hits it onto Chime. No, TSM, they've turtled up into their base now, and EG will find the entire rift belongs to them at this state. I mean, if you're able to walk in and just push Bugi out of his jungle, it is not looking good for TSM.
Yeah, it's going to get really tough for them at this point, you know, with the Baron buff, with both the marksmen getting really all the kills here for EG. I mean, Unforgiven is putting out some serious damage. He has And the Luden's completed, is online with this AP poke build. And we're going to see a third item coming through here, I think, pretty soon for Jojo. So we can watch this one more time. This was Bugi just going for that Hexgate into his own jungle. Thought it was his own jungle. Turns out it was not. Nope. Did not have the coverage. And then the plasma is applied. In goes Unforgiven. Unfortunately for him, he does not get the kill. The explosive shot did expire there, and Jojo picks it up. But yeah, there's the Bloodthirster now complete for Jojo. So both these marksmen are ridiculously fed at this point.
Revenge 1v1ing onto Insanity, and I don't even think Chime can help out here. That's a one-way trip. Insanity killed Solo in a side lane.
Yeah, Insanity starting to die in these side lanes quite a bit. EG have been putting on so much pressure towards those sides. And as soon as they're showing top, there's no one answering on bot.
TSM
Another buffer.
They're not giving up, though. Maybe they can lock down Eyla. Answers with the Curseless Head Mummy. Jojo flashing forward yet again. They got WildTurtle! That's the damage once more for TSM, and they are in full retreat mode. EG, okay, well, that was your victory jump. That was the victory jump right there, Send the message.
Yeah, he's sending the message. He doesn't know how wide that wall is. That's the message there.
I've never seen that animation.
Jojo getting some more kills, though, for the team. Well played. He's been so on point with his rocket jumps.
Yeah.
Again, buffered the Sejuani ult, it looked like there, so it's just been perfect in response to those engages on him. And he's able to go in, find the angle to get the kill on Turtle without, exposing himself too far, right? I think a lot of people would have jumped straight in on Turtle's head and potentially been turned around on and burst down, but Jojo found the angle to basically jump in and get that last max range hit on Turtle to finish him off. So really well played again by EG. They now have 3 dragons, 7K lead, and EG are looking like they are cruising towards a 3-0 final weekend of the split. And before that, they were on a 4-game losing streak. So this is a big turnaround and a bit of a notice to the teams at the top of the table.
And they made the statement at the beginning of the split. Look, we got 2 junglers. We're going to be playing both of them. They didn't play Sheiden until this week. And what a statement from this jungler coming in saying, all right, I'll be the one to reverse the momentum from that loss streak, give us a win streak in the final week. That is huge.
And you look at all the luxury items that are now coming through, it becomes so difficult. You have the Mikhails in there, you have a stopwatch in there, you have all of these additional tools that are going to make it so hard for them to find that play. Now, even if he can't buffer, with his rocket jump, well, all of a sudden he's Mikhails'd out of that Sejuani ult, he's Mikhails'd out of a charm. That's going to make it really, really hard. Because when you're playing against these enchanters, when you're playing against Ivern, you better make sure you pretty much one-shot someone at the start of the fight, because if Ivern starts getting multiple rounds of shields out and starts really becoming so difficult to actually deal with the sustained damage and pressure that is going to come through with this double marksman comp.
It makes Insanity's job very tough, because even if he lands some of this poke, you can even sustain through a little bit of that. If you can shield it in time, that's ideal for Sheiden.
Yeah.
And then on the other side, Unforgiven with the full AP build on the Kaisa, like these snipes.
3 screens away.
Yeah, you can't even see him when he's throwing these out. And now EG are just walking up into the base. There's no inhibitor turret remaining for TSM on the bot side, and EG will claim this inhibitor, or at least give a solid effort to. Hauntzer looking for an engage angle. He has the flash, he has the rocket belt. Hauntzer could be the hero, but Jojo just jumps in, he fancies himself it. Stopwatch used, finds so much space for EG, and Hauntzer just can't find the angle, but Eyla does! TSM routed back to their fountain. Is this really how the game will end? EG just march into TSM's base and say, bet, revenge underneath the Nexus turrets. Jojo jumping in once more for good measure. And TSM with 3 members left, they're trying to just heal up in the fountain so that they can stop the Nexus turrets from going down. EG don't have a big wave to play with, though. Another one's answering now. Do they go for the end? I think they want it. Low health bars, but they fancy themselves a game win here. TSM in trouble. Can they hold the line? Nexus turret's going down. Jojo's got to focus them. Do they have enough gas in the tank, though? I mean, Insanity's up in 10 seconds. WildTurtle and 8. Bugi taking a lot of that damage. And EG just haven't gone for the end yet. Jojo jumps in out of Hauntzer. A lot of damage onto the Kennen. Can he take him down? Couple more autos. Not there. TSM, it's make or break. They got to go now, but EG get it. Just playing with them, and they will take the win.
What a way to finish there. Jojo actually looking a little bit frustrated in those moments after they finish it out there.
Yeah.
A bit of an intense
guys, let's just end the game
on stage. So maybe a little bit of a disagreement on how they should have played that out or something, but that was atypical for EG. Either way, they're going to finish out their 3-0 weekend. Jojo probably rocket jumped about 15 times in 2 minutes there in those final moments. Just jumping in.